Welcome in everyone to another live edition of 410 Sports Talk. I'm Glenn Martin here with my co-host James Haskell in the post-game edition as the Ravens extend their win streak to, what is it, 24?
24,378.
That's right. That's right. Whatever it is. And you know what? I'm glad it continues. You know, there's a part of me that kind of hopes it would end eventually because of so we get some haters, that like to kind of bag on the fact that, that's even mentioned that a streak is happening. But I like it because it adds excitement to these games that otherwise have virtually no meaning, certainly in the fourth quarter. And I was a little bit on the edge of my seat waiting to see if the streak continued. How about you?
Yep, 100%. And, it's interesting. It makes preseason more interesting for these other teams because they want to break the streak. I'm doing some field reporting here, Glenn, and according to the folks in the inner circle, the Redskins. Oh my gosh, I'm taking it way back. The Commanders coach, Ron Rivera, and some of the Commanders players were pretty excited about the idea of stopping the old streak. So I think it adds a little extra juice to the game. I will say this: I don't like that because there's this streak. Some guys that are a bit impatient or overzealous get feeling their oats a little bit, and it could cause some additional injuries, right? Because they're going a little harder because of this streak that doesn't really mean anything. But either way, it's fun because it gives a little more to play for.
Yeah, well,
and let me tell you what, real quick. The commies, dude. The commies fans were out there loud and proud the last 5 minutes there, beating on the bleachers, thinking they got a chance to win. It was their Super Bowl tonight, and they still find a way to lose it.
Well, that's just who they are. And I'm not going to spend much time at all, but I just feel like they really missed it with the name. The uniforms to me are not impressive, and they have the worst colors and team, all that in football, in my opinion. They kind of blew it. But I mentioned that the Ravens won. They win 17-15 extended. I'm going to get into the stats here in just 1 second. But, Jimbo, I got to get your take. You saw it live and in person. Mm-hmm. What happened to Poe at halftime?
I saw it and they didn't put it back up on the screen. So you might have had a better view than me because what I saw was just people I saw the cart come out and I saw the play, but it was kind of difficult to see from my angle. So to be honest, I wish I had better reporting for you. Bad on me for not being able to give you better reporting. But I do know this. Came back out of the locker room, loud and proud, getting everybody pumped up, ready to go. So either they replaced him and put another person in his uniform, or he actually pulled a Paul Pierce and was good to go.
So it said Poe on his back, or was that Edgar or Allen?
No, it's just Poe. He's the only remaining one.
Well, then they must have replaced him because it's showing here on the screen that apparently he suffered a knee injury, and the early reports are it might have been an ACL. I don't know. But
let me tell you what, though. The most incredible thing about this game was the halftime, because there was a game going on that I didn't understand. It was children in full-on football gear playing against, if I understood correctly, what my eyes were watching or what I was seeing, and my eyes weren't deceiving me. They're playing against mascots. And let me tell you what, this one kid thought he's dancing in the end zone. He's at the goal line. He's about to pass the pylon, and he got taken off his feet above head type hit by a mascot. No mercy. It will be on ESPN Top 10 because he got decked. It was pretty awesome. Hit of the game.
Wow.
That's for sure.
Well, I think a lot of kids would like that, to get involved with that. But
till you end up on ESPN for the wrong reason.
Yeah, those mascots might be like football players that couldn't quite make it, and they're like, "This is my moment." Let's get right into it. Ravens O's Nations, brings us right to the star of the game. He says Demarcus Robinson is making this roster. What a game! Not impressed by the running backs today, though. Unfortunately. P.S. How about them freaking Orioles? Shout out Ravens O's Nation. Absolutely. Go on the road. They beat Houston in Houston today, 3-1 after beating them yesterday. I mean, the O's are it's just unbelievable what they're doing right now. It's truly shocking. I'm going to call it right now, one of the great underdog stories in history. Well, dude, they have the lowest payroll in baseball, and we're expected to finish dead last. And this team's storming for the playoffs, Jimbo. So,
yeah,
I mean, I think it's worth mentioning, but I know we're here to talk about Ravens football. So, Jimbo, Demarcus Robinson,
dude,
he puts on an absolute show. What'd you see from him today, Jimbo?
I mean, first of all, I saw that it just wasn't fair that he had to play against these guys. I honestly, the Raiders must really like their young guys because so it was incredible. The move that he did where he fakes inside and cuts up field. He did the same thing on the second play where he got it wide open, but he faked outside and then broke up the field.
Yep.
But I mean, he put on an absolute clinic. It was like watching a kid that is at the top of his game in varsity and decides to practice with JV for the day. It was just not fair.
It looked like a seasoned NFL vet playing a bunch of guys trying to scrape onto the back end of a roster, but that's what it's supposed to look like. And to me, it got me excited. You know, the reason I was so hyped is, Jimbo, I still have flashbacks of when the Ravens were taking on the Dolphins, and then every team after that seemingly took on the same defensive identity, and they brought that crazy blitz package, right? And it seemed like the Ravens couldn't defend, or couldn't protect their quarterback and couldn't get the ball out quick enough to counter that. So when I see this sluggo route, where he fakes the slant and turns it into a go, and then I see the double move on the out route turned into a go, it gets me hyped because these are the kind of plays that could really, cause problems for one-on-one defense on the outside when they decide to bring those blitzes. And if you can just call a max protect, or those guys can hold up and keep Lamar upright for just enough time to let that sluggo kind of unfold, we could kind of get a glimpse right there of what type of plays the Ravens are going to be looking to hit in that deep passing game. They called an emphasis on that deep passing game. Well, we might have seen it right there. Double moves could be the cure and the answer for that for that all-out blitz they've been facing.
100%. And I think what you also saw, at least to me, I mean, I know this isn't the big stage, but Demarcus had an opportunity to put on a show, and the dude has been a gamer in the past. He's been able to show up in big moments. We've seen it, at our expense as a Raven, as Baltimore Ravens fans. But I think you showed that dude's a gamer. I mean, he goes out there and he takes advantage of every opportunity, shows what he's got, and talented kid. He's fast, explosive, good hands. Obviously, deceiving in his route running ability. So I'm excited for it. I think it's going to be really interesting to see how this season impacts him as a player. He's still young. He's only 27 years old. This is a one-year deal. So this could end up being a good marriage for us long-term to sign him to an extension this offseason.
Yeah, because he could be one of those guys that doesn't command, the biggest price tag league-wide, which falls right into the hands of the Ravens to keep him around and maybe be the veteran in the room with, a bunch of these young guys. So, I think he is an obvious lock and could – and so I want to talk about that receiving room a little bit, Jimbo, because I thought I saw one other guy who really took advantage of the additional
Talking
reps.
about 81?
Yeah, talking about 81
Benjamin Victor.
Yeah, Benjamin Victor, as Jimbo puts up the tweet from Ellison talking about
DK does.
Or DK put up the tweet from Ellison talking about Owe was hyped. Owe was hyped to see those double moves out there, no doubt. But another guy who was out there making plays, another guy who made a deep catch and another 50-yard plus play was Benjamin Victor, which, by the way, Jimbo, 0 plays above 50 yards from the Ravens all last season. I'm sure you might not have heard that being at the stadium, but 0 runs or passes of 50 yards plus last season for the whole year for the Ravens. The Ravens had 3 this game, all coming from the arm of Anthony Brown, who we're going to talk about.
Hold on a sec. Wasn't that play to Hollywood? What game was that? The long pass from Lamar, wasn't that over 50 yards? Wasn't that a 64-yarder or something like that?
Unless what they're saying is incorrect, that was what they were talking on the broadcast. So I'd have to go back and look at it. You know what play
I'm talking about, though,
You're talking about where he dove and caught it against the Broncos? I think that might have just been like, high 40s. It could have been. And just when Lamar dropped back, as Lamar dropped back, it looked longer.
Right.
But what are you getting pulled over?
Yeah, pulled over. No, I'm kidding.
Nice,
no, you're good.
All right, so Benjamin Victor has the 50-yard bomb where he jumps up, takes it from over the head of the defender. He adds 3 more catches, total 74 yards. Did he do enough to sneak onto the back of that roster?
No, I don't think so, man. But let me ask you this, Glenn.
Yeah.
What before we dig into this deeper, because you might have a different opinion than me. What did you think about the way that he caught that pass? Because, ladies and gentlemen, Glenn is Mr. High Point.
Yeah.
It's one of his favorite words, one of his favorite things to see football players do.
Mm-hmm.
What was your take on the way that he caught that?
I was fantastic. He went up and took advantage of his height. If you're going to be that tall, you have to use it to your advantage. And he certainly did so. I love the fearlessness. It can be scary. You're going up there and, you don't have the opportunity to brace yourself with your hands because you're holding on to the ball. So, a lot of times that's a scary play and a play that a lot of guys don't come down with because they tend to instinctually brace the fall. So
sure.
Shout out to Benjamin Victor for not only getting his hands on it, but ultimately coming down with the ball despite the fact it was pretty good coverage. Now, that's the disappointing part is it wasn't a ton of separation there, but I think he had more of a step. And, as good as Anthony Brown threw the ball today, I think
was a little underthrown.
Little bit, touch underthrown.
Yeah.
But, yeah, absolutely. I mean, the guy was fantastic. Fantastic.
Now, what's your take, though? Do you think this – because, look, let's name our locks, right? So you got Bateman, you got Duvernay, you got Tylan Wallace, you got Prochet, and you got Robinson. So that's 5. And we're going to go heavy at places like most likely running back, at most likely tight end, certainly in the secondary. So do you see us taking more than 6? Ultimately, that's the question, because I think what it comes down to is, do you take a better corner that contributes more on special teams over a guy like Benjamin Victor? Do you know what I mean? Like, that's where my mind frame is.
Yeah, and I don't think he makes the team. I think you take 5, and I think there was a competition for that 5th spot, and I think the signing of Demarcus Robinson is a bit of an indictment on these young guys not grabbing a hold of that job and instilling that confidence upstairs. But at the same time, I think the room benefits from having a veteran, regardless of how they performed, behind him. So, but again, I think Ben Victor, I think he's ultimately going to be on the practice squad once again. And Demarcus Robinson could be in line for an immediate vault in the depth chart. Like, how high can he go? Like,
he could easily be the number 2.
Yeah, so? That's not out of the question.
No, I don't think so. I'll tell you what. If it's my preference, I want Duvernay to be getting the ball so much. Well, not so much. I mean, I think at the end of the day, we talked about this last time. The passing game is still going to run through the tight end group.
Okay,
right?
Yeah, certainly.
But at the end of the day, when we're just segregating wide receivers, I want Duvernay to get enough play and enough opportunities that he's the number 2, because I wholeheartedly, and I think you'll agree with me here, I wholeheartedly believe that Duvernay's playmaking ability with the ball in his hands is probably the best in the wide receiver group. And I honestly don't even know how close it is. If you're talking about just a guy with the ball in his hands, like catch made, right? So I want to see more of that from Devin Duvernay. But Greg Roman I don't know what it is, but like systemically, there's a bit of lack of opportunities for him to do that, at least without being this gadget guy. So it's very easy for me to see Demarcus Russell. Oh my gosh. Demarcus Robinson becoming the number 2 guy.
Yeah. Yeah. And that could very well be the case. Asmodeus Thanatos, appreciate it. Giving us a couple bucks for our McChicken needs.
Oh, yes, sir.
Been a while. Appreciate you coming back. Missed you. So, yeah, definitely make sure you're here going forward because I'm hungry out there, I don't know if you can get a McChicken. By the way, is the McChicken still that, like, has it gone up? I just assume, like most things, inflation has carried McChicken to $5 or something, a sandwich here.
Bro, Glenn, I want you to guess how much parking was tonight.
At our spot? At the spot?
Yeah, at the spot.
$20.
40.
What? Oh, they price gouge you, dude. You gotta negotiate there next time, dude. Get it down to 20, man.
He was getting everybody for 40. I was one of the last people to pull up.
Dang. Yeah, that's crazy, dude.
He was popping everybody 40. Yeah, dude. Imagine it's gonna be $80 in the season.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah,
that's
wild.
Inflation, bro. Inflation.
No doubt about it. All right, let's get back into these notes. Jimbo, you had a good look at it there. Certainly we did at home. Linderbaum gets the start at center.
Mm-hmm.
People were kind of unsure how much he would play, if he'd play at all. What was your thoughts on our first live action of Tyler Linderbaum?
Immediately, I wasn't excited. I'll be honest.
Okay.
But then I started to notice that individually he was winning a lot of his battles and then helping out on other assignments. And the line around him was relatively. I thought the line play was rough.
Uh-oh. You in a shaky spot here, Jimbo. We're starting to lose the connection. Yeah, I think we're going to have to check back in with Jimbo on Tyler
You got me? You got me?
There we
you got
go.
Me? You got
now
me?
You're back. Okay, now you're back.
You got
okay.
Me?
Yeah. So
all right, I'm back.
The offensive line as a whole, you said, was pretty shaky.
I started, yeah, man, but I started to hone in specifically on Linderbaum, and I felt like he was winning his assignment, doing so quickly, and then recognizing pressure and being able to help out in moments where he had to help out. So, look, I give him a solid grade for his first action. I felt like physically I wanted to see how he held up. I never saw him relatively overwhelmed, and let me know if you did, but I didn't see him get overwhelmed. And I saw him getting nasty on 2 plays, getting a little edgy for a guy who's like, he's a soft-spoken dude. He's a well-mannered guy, but I saw him getting a little like that O-line, that edge you want to see. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what you like to see.
Yeah, I was happy with it. Like I said, at first I was a little nervous because I was like, oh, the O-line play is not great. But he was winning his matchups and then quickly recognizing pressure and where he had to help. So I was happy with it. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, it's early still. You're playing against guys that likely won't be in the league in this third preseason game, so it's still tough to see. But glad that he got out there nonetheless. Glad to see him get some game reps. Of course, you can't replicate that even in practice. Even if you're playing against the ones on defense like he likely practiced against daily, it still doesn't replace live game action. So excited to see him back out there. And yeah, of course, the real grade's coming up when they take on the Jets. No doubt about that. But I want to get into some defensive guys. I thought a couple things. To me, it could come down to the roster competition could come down to Josh Ross or Christian Welch. And so I watched those guys a ton tonight. They played a ton tonight. I'll give you my take, and I want to hear yours. I thought Josh Ross made a ton of plays. I thought he obviously, had that nice tackle for loss where he darted right through the middle of the line of scrimmage, made a nice play. He went everywhere. But I also saw some moments where I could see why he went undrafted. I could see that, there was a quick pass where he just didn't have the speed to get out to the running back that ultimately I think ended up being a touchdown. He also had a missed tackle early where it just looks like he lacks a little play strength, which makes sense. Undrafted, also a rookie, so kind of those two go together. And then Christian Welch, I thought he had a few nice pass rushes, obviously ended up with a couple sacks, has the leg up being the guy who's been here and has an obvious edge on special teams. What's your thoughts if the battle comes down to one of those guys making the team?
That's a tough one, man. Obviously, I like Ross and like to say I'm right, so I would want to go with Ross. But I can't deny what you said in that Welch played well tonight. He stood out a couple times. I will say this: I was focused on Ross in his special teams contribution because I think at the end of the day, it's where it's going to be. That he makes the team. And he did have a few decent plays where he might not have been the first one there. I think he was second one there, but he certainly was a contributing factor in where the runner ended up going and filtered them the right way. So I think that's beneficial and a big part of his job. So I think that will help him out. But that's a tough one. I'm going to say this, Glenn. I'm going to take the lame answer here in that I understand your point that it may come down to one or the other, but there's also a chance that it doesn't, right? Like I think tomorrow we're going to do our 53-man roster. There's also a chance that they go light somewhere else. Maybe they've just been disappointed with someone else. A couple guys in a different group. I don't know. But that's going to be really interesting to see. If I had to guess, I'm going to go I'm going to go with Ross.
Wow. Okay.
But let me ask you this. Is it more likely that Ross gets on the practice squad because there's less tape on him?
Could be.
Or, you know what I mean? that also comes into consideration as well. If you squeak him on the practice squad and then give him another shot next year, if you can get him through. I don't know if Ross gets through.
Yeah, well, I think both have a high likelihood of getting through. Because it's just so hard to sign a guy off of somebody else's, who's been with your another team, doesn't know your playbook, and you got to sign to your active roster. But it is interesting. DK makes a good point that Josh Ross does have the familiarity with Mike McDonald.
Big time. That's a huge leg.
And so while Welch has been with the Ravens longer, Ross has been with Mike McDonald longer. So you may have an edge there. But I do find it interesting. Josh Ross led the team today with 11 tackles, Welch right on his heels with 10, and also had 2.5 sacks. So both those guys clearly fighting their butts off to make the team. And I think it does come down to one of those guys will be on the team and the other will be on the practice squad. But both guys, I think, have a job when this is all said and done and the week 1 rosters are all set. Jimbo,
now, I got to ask you a question.
Quick thing. There's debate whether you're actually driving or if this is a digital background. Jimbo, settle the debate. Is this
you want me to show you
karaoke?
Guys? Look, can you see this? Can you see the traffic light?
Is this carpool karaoke?
Bro, I'm on Boston Street. Just got up 95. I just went through the freaking tunnel, bro.
My man, through the tunnel and still on StreamYard. Shout out.
You see this, right?
My man. You see this? Yeah. Yes, I can see this.
Yeah, this is Boston Street. There's the 95 entrance.
All
no,
right.
And I can't even see the chat right now, to be honest with you. So
okay,
it's just too small.
Okay. All right. I was just seeing some questions in the chat there. But go ahead. You said you had a question?
No, I have a question similar to yours. There's 18-wheeler next to me making all kinds of noise. This is how dedicated I am to it, bro. I got the windows up. I just cracked the window. I got no AC in this car.
Oh, you in the Yaris?
Dude, I'm sweating.
Appreciate it, man.
Dedicated it is, dude.
Yeah.
But no, I just wanted to say that some drunk kids just pissed on the side of the train tracks. Nice. All right, so I want to talk about Tony Jefferson and Ardarius Washington.
Yeah, man. I'm glad you brought him up.
Because that's another one that seemed to be an intense battle tonight. Sorry, I got to pop a U-turn because there's a train on Boston Street. See, this is just getting better every – jeez, Liz. So, no, I was going to say that I saw some moments where Tony struggled tonight, dude. Second game in a row where you don't usually connect Tony Jefferson with missed tackles. It's not like a thing that goes in the same sentence together. Missed tackles again tonight. And I'll tell you what, Ardarius Washington didn't miss a ton of tackles and had, I think he, if I'm not mistaken, had a deflection. Seemed to be around the football and make some plays tonight. So what are your thoughts on those two? Because similar to like your feelings on Welch and Ross, I think it comes down to one of them two.
Yeah, I think you could be right. And I think the unfortunate thing for Ardarius is that it might come down to who is eligible for the practice squad. As DK throws up a tweet from Sarah Ellison.
Can you read that?
Yeah, Tony Jefferson said that whatever happens with him making the roster or not, he's been grateful to be back in Baltimore with his family. Said he'd love to make it, but knows no matter what, once a Raven, always a Raven. So, man, just shout out to Tony. Shout out to the organization for having a guy. I don't know how many teams where you'd have a guy say that as he's on the roster bubble, not sure if he's even going to make it. I think he had moments, certainly had moments where he looked, like Tony Jefferson, where, that one where he came down to the line of scrimmage and kind of blew up that play and tackled the guy at the line, looked phenomenal. Love him in the locker room, love him on the sidelines. I think he's extremely intelligent. And so I think ultimately, if it's between those two guys, he makes the roster because he's not eligible, I don't believe, any longer for the practice squad due to his tenure. And I think that he'd be more desirable league-wide, whereas I think Ardarius could easily get through waivers and easily make the practice squad. But I thought they both had moments where they played well, and they've also both had moments where, they could have done better.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, this is what it comes down to. If your guys get injured, right? Like, this is how you answer this question to me. If you have a rash of injuries like we did last year, and you need somebody back there to hold it down, not just schematically, but like morale, be an emotional leader, right? Like, I know that people that some people value it more than others, but like I certainly want Tony there in that situation more than I would want, as my freaking phone is moving, more than I would want Ardarius Washington. This is no knock on Ardarius, but Tony's just been there, right? Like, so I think that has to be added into the equation and something worth speaking about when you're making that decision. And like you said, I think ultimately Ardarius makes it to the practice squad, no problem. You keep Tony out there, and he keeps coaching on the sidelines when he's not out there in the game, and that you can depend on him to not only fulfill his assignment when he's in the game. Sure, he's not the physical specimen at this point that he used to be, but he also will help elevate other guys around him based on his experience and leadership, and I think that's valuable.
No doubt. No doubt. And I think the Ravens will agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, Tony was third on the team in tackles. He had 9 tackles. So he was flying around, had a ton of snaps, but
I thought it was pretty funny that they decided to run to his, where it's like, why would you run towards Tony Jefferson if you had a choice? Sure, Tony Jefferson is never known to be this ball hawking guy, but till the day Tony Jefferson dies, he's not going to get run on.
Yeah, he'll put a hit on you. Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like,
that's just who he is, man.
Yeah, like that was just a bad. Good job, commies. Good job.
But all right, let's switch back to the offensive side. Jimbo, I don't know what the Ravens are going to do with their quarterback decision, but I certainly hope they find a way to squeeze Anthony Brown onto their practice squad.
He's there for sure.
But any concern that he could get taken at least as the third quarterback on a rebuilding team to take a peek at him?
Oh.
Well, that was a quick and decisive, and then he just dropped the mic on us. But Anthony Brown goes 15 of 19, 256, and a touchdown with a 136 QBR. You know what's impressive to me about him, Jimbo, is the willingness to push the ball down the field, the fearlessness.
Hey, Glenn.
What's up? Yeah.
I'll be right back.
Okay.
I'll be right back. DK, put him on solo.
Oh, man. Okay. All right. So Anthony Brown, to me, has been more than the Ravens could have ever imagined at quarterback. When you consider this guy's an out of Oregon, not expected to make much of an impact, he's forcing people to notice him. This guy, he's just putting the ball on a dime. And there's a lot of guys that hesitate to throw the ball down the field. And that can sometimes be the demise of young quarterbacks. It's just their unwillingness to try to get the ball down the field out of fear of making a mistake or turning the ball over. And so I love to see Anthony Brown with the fearlessness that he's showing on the field. Not only did he add 1 touchdown through the air, but let's not forget that he also had that one where he ran it in from I think right around the 6-yard line. As the Ravens were in close. So this guy was just moving the ball consistently. I love what I saw from Anthony Brown. The offense, was pretty stagnant in the first half until we saw Anthony Brown, him take over in the second half or in the second quarter. And then of course, into the third quarter, he certainly was linking up well with the newcomer, Demarcus Robinson and also Benjamin Victor as they connected on that deep ball as well. So I just don't know what they do with them because I see Tyler Huntley and I go, I think Tyler Huntley's the clear-cut, obvious backup, and he's played fantastic throughout this preseason. But I think Anthony Brown's worth keeping around, and he's certainly done not much more than the Ravens could have ever guessed.
Yeah, I think you've got to keep Brown around. What I was going to say, sorry, I had an important call coming in from the most important person in my life, so I had to take it. But
it wasn't me calling. I'm here. So
no, I think the reason, or I think I think he is through the practice squad, and that is because he's now become synonymous with the Ravens system, right? Like he has more value here than in other places. I think that inevitably happens when you play for a system that's relatively unique. That's one. So I think that helps him get through the practice squad, even though he's played well. Number 2, Tyler Huntley's going to move on to bigger and better things. It's just a matter of time. Yeah. And so you need to continue to backfill for him and groom and I think that we found another guy that we could potentially do. I'm not saying he's the next Tyler Huntley, but I'm saying that he can be some semblance of that. Sorry, DK, I can't. Yeah, I can't read this comment here.
Yeah, well, basically, Jamison Hensley just put up the statistics for Anthony Brown and what he was able to accomplish tonight. No doubt they were impressive. Drew Frazier has a comment for us, Jimbo. He says, trade Huntley for a first and roll with Brown. Well, certainly,
not getting a first for Huntley.
Yeah, as much as we love Tyler Huntley, I think about the best you could maybe get for a guy like Tyler Huntley is the 5th, if you're lucky. Just based on the fact that there's not going to be a huge market for him, and there's also only a select teams that would take a chance on a guy that they think might have the potential to develop into a franchise quarterback. But I think you're right, Jimbo. I think what we're seeing now is the future backup for Lamar Jackson after Tyler Huntley moves on to a place where he has a chance to actually compete for a starting spot, because that spot, as long as Lamar Jackson is here, is Lamar Jackson's spot. So, yeah, let's see what Anthony Brown can continue to build on, and maybe he can be the Tyler Huntley in 3 years that we might see next year,
right?
As he might look to compete somewhere else.
Absolutely. I just want to say this to kind of do we know? So first of all, we got out of this game in this preseason relatively healthy. I know we're kind of changing gears on that, but that's something that was on my mind this entire game. Kevon Seymour, it sounds like he got the ankle rolled up. I thought it was a knee initially when I saw it. So knowing that, I don't know more about it. If you guys have more information on it.
Yeah, apparently it's being described as an ankle injury.
Yeah.
Tough break. Also, it looks like Crawford, the defensive lineman, looks like he might have a pretty serious groin injury. But also another guy who, was certainly had an uphill climb to make the roster.
Yeah.
With that talented group in front of him, likely would have been a long shot regardless. So, yeah, I mean, wasn't a ton of key players playing tonight, and those who did seem to come out relatively unscathed.
Absolutely. Let's see. I'm going to get this one. I can't wait for this dang season to start already. Amen to that. I'll be at the home opener against Miami. Glenn and James, you guys are killing it. I never miss an episode, and I'll be tuning in all season long. Dude, appreciate it, because honestly, I can't say this enough. I believe we work really hard at this. Our whole team included, myself, Glenn, DK, Brad, everybody. And we do it because we believe in what we do. And so it's glad to hear that you guys are enjoying it, because at the end of the day, that's what it's about. Right.
No
doubt. So that's awesome. But yeah, I can't wait for the home opener either. September 11th against Joey Flack. And I'm excited for it, man.
Yeah, no doubt. And that Miami game, they certainly got some get back. They got some comeuppance, and I hope that the Tyreek addition isn't too much for this secondary to handle. I don't think it will be, but we'll wait and see. But appreciate the support and kind words. Thank you so much. All right, so let me get back to a couple other notes here, Jimbo.
Yeah, tell me how many more notes you got, my man.
Let me see. Not many, honestly. Oh, dude, shout out to Ben Mason on that one-handed catch. Where the hell did that come from?
So I was right there, at that end zone when I saw that, and I was like, oh, boy, here we go.
Dude,
and he came down with it.
Dude, he never even brought the other hand in play. All one hand.
You know what it looked like? It looked like a bear paw with it in honey, in a beehive.
It's just
that was great.
Give me it all.
Showing a little athleticism there. We'll see how he fares as far as making this team.
Yeah, and then one quick note at the end of the game. I thought it was it could have just been, kind of like when you see an offensive player come in and pitch at the end of a blowout game in baseball. Riley Webb, the wide receiver who was making a bunch of catches this preseason, is all of a sudden inserted in as the deep safety in the last few plays of the game. Was that just simply we ran out of guys and get out there? Who cares? Or any
because
chance?
Didn't Gino get shaken up as well at the very end of the game?
He
got a little shaken up. So yeah, I think so.
Okay.
There's no chance.
Right. Chance that adds to his value as the Swiss Army knife. No. Okay.
No.
All right.
No.
Well, it was worth a shot. I didn't know if we had another two-way player on our hands like Project Pat.
This is how you know it's not fake. You see the helicopter? I don't know if you can hear it. You see it?
Oh yeah, we can see it. And we can slightly hear it. Yeah, and also, Jimbo, I tell you what, that Dicker could be my kicker any day of the week. Cameron Dicker can kick his little hiney off. He was punting it well. He was kicking field goals.
Yep.
He might have
we'll get a 5th round pick for him.
I was going to say, he might have just gotten himself a job. He had a ton of work because the offense was playing so poorly. Shout out to Cameron Dicker. Shows up and just does everything you're supposed to do.
100%, dude.
Yeah. So, all right. Anyway, I think that's kind of to sum it up for the evening.
Yep.
Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I agree with you. And I'm excited for tomorrow, guys. Tomorrow morning, we're going to be putting out an episode. We're going to do our final 53.
Yeah.
Stay tuned. That's right. Dicker can be my kicker. Maybe we'll get that on a shirt for you, Glenn.
Dude.
And this is the thing. We might have a wager on this 53. We might have to come up with something. Don't you think, Glenn?
I think we can make it more interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So we'll think of something, but for sure, really looking forward to that. Also, check out our Patreon because we're actually going to be giving it a bit of a facelift probably tomorrow and certainly in the next week. So go check it out. The link's in the comments below. If you have the Patreon app, just type in 410 Sports Talk. But had an absolute blast tonight and looking forward to it, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Asmodeus, one more for the road. Are you on the run? Looks like you're dipping out in GTA. It does look like you somehow left your vehicle and now have.
I did. My car's right here.
Because you're home.
Yeah. Take a picture? No, I'm streaming live right now. You're good. I appreciate it.
Somebody being nice. Look at that. See, Baltimore with a friendly face.
Thank you.
There you go.
Yeah.
But yeah, it did look like you just jumped out of the car, left it, and are on the run. Good to know that you're all safe. But
there's the
Black
baby
Daniels,
blue Yaris, baby.
And Black Daniels says Jimbo definitely straight out of Compton. I don't know if he's been listening long enough to know how true that is, or if it's just coincidental that he brings up Compton here for you.
That's right,
Jimbo.
dude. Come on, man.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
Dude, bro, the 562 is all I've revved, dude.
There we go. And the 410, of course.
Of course. But if you're talking West Side.
Yeah, there you go. It's like NFC and an AFC. That's your NFC team.
That's right.
All right, everybody. Thanks for coming out. Appreciate you joining us.
I'm about to do the cacao in the middle of the street.
That's right. And we'll be back soon.